reminded of the great call from Jim Nance when Tiger won the Masters. A return to glory, and I think that's what we have here with Summer Theater returning to the Titusville area next week in their production of Sound of Music. And we have some of the cast and crew joining us here this morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us here this morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Let's kind of go around the table and introduce yourselves.
I'm Stephanie Cicero. I'm the stage director.
Jaron Knickerbocker, music director.
Kevin Vincent, I play Captain Von Trapp.
I'm Abby Preston, and I play Maria.
Oh, excellent. Good to see everybody. Well, how exciting is this to be back on stage and to be performing once again with Titusville Summer Theater? Who wants to take that one, Kevin?
Sure. It's pretty amazing. The last production, I believe, was Shrek in 2019.
Wow.
So it's been a long time. So it's an exciting process to finally put a show back together and get onto stage.
Let's talk just about that for a minute. COVID happened. Obviously, everybody was shut down. But coming out of it, it seemed like everybody was trying to figure out, what to do. Is the interest there in getting people back on stage? I mean, that was a couple years it took for things to get kind of ironed out, right, and figured out before you guys were able to come back together and put a show on.
Yeah, it was very tough. We tried last summer and it didn't work out. And I know Jerry and I were very relieved after the first day of auditions when we had enough people
That's
for
excellent.
a cast.
Now, would you have done Sound of Music last year?
No, we had planned a different show.
Okay, so you just right on track on what you're doing, and that's fantastic. All right, so how many folks are involved, cast and crew-wise, with Sound of Music?
A lot. There's over 40 people in our cast, and of course our whole board of directors is involved, plus a lot of dozens of other volunteers.
That's fantastic. What was it like to have everybody kind of come back and get together again?
Exciting.
This was an interesting show because it took a while to put everybody together. We've talked about it's like two shows in one. You have the nuns at the Abbey that kind of do a show, and then you have the family doing a show at the house. Right. And then it all goes together as one. So it's kind of been interesting because at least for the first few weeks, we were rehearsing separately at times, things like that. So it was pretty exciting when we put all of that together and we said, oh yeah, we have a full-length show now.
Did you take a moment and kind of just take it in and go, but this is fantastic. This is great to have this back. Because there's so much, everybody has such a great time when they're in the production. I know it takes time and everybody's excited about summer, but when you're doing the show, there is an excitement and there's that sense of family and fun that goes with it. It's a lot of hard work, but there's also that sense of fun that goes with that too, right?
Right.
Jerry, when did you get involved in the process?
I'm sorry.
When did you get involved in the process?
Very early. This was always been one of my favorite shows. I used to teach this show. When I was a teacher, we would teach this show, and this is the first time I've directed this show.
Were you around as a teacher when the Von Trapp kids actually visited the town?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get to meet them?
I'm sorry?
Did you get to meet them at all, or?
I have met them up at the lodge, but not here.
Okay. I think that was, and I don't know how long ago that was that they came through, like in the 70s or 80s maybe they came through. Anyways, kind of a neat tie-in, but the show is next week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What are the dates?
June 29, 30, and July 1st. And then tonight we have the last History Hobo lecture, 6:30 at the auditorium. It's going to be all on the Sound of Music.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. So explain that.
Yeah, so it's been a 4-part lecture series that Titusville Summer Theater has sponsored. And each lecture has been on different musicals. So tonight's is all about the Sound of Music.
When it comes to the cast and crew, is it a nice mix of folks who've been part of the process for a while and maybe some new folks? What's the blend ratio there? Any guesses?
We have a lot of new folks,
Yeah.
but it's amazing how many old pros we have in this cast also.
Old being the key word, I think, is
that
what
what
he's stressing there for us.
And I only ask that because you talk about the history, and I think Titusville Summer Theater has such a rich history. Does that get passed down? Do those stories get shared? And when you open that book, I know at a performance before the curtain opens, it's fascinating going through and just looking at all the shows over the years and the people involved. It's really quite amazing. And sometimes you see names on there and you go, they were on stage. It's incredible.
We're 50 plus years now of running, so it's neat to see even shows that have been done before coming back. Like, this is not the first time that Sound of Music has been done, so you look at that and say, okay, who played those roles before when they did it, that kind of thing.
That's great. Well, let's talk about some of the folks who are in the show who might not be here this morning. Who would folks recognize?
Me? We've got 7 adorable kids. They're very sweet. My sister Chloe's one of them, so that's been fun. This show has had a ton of families involved all together, whether it's on stage in the orchestra or backstage somewhere. I think there's 12 families in this show, and my sister and I are one of them, so that's been super fun.
Oh, wow.
And Kevin's family too. There's lots of kids that you'll see in the middle school productions that have been leads there and are coming and maybe having their first time learning from adults. So we hope that they're learning good things from us that have never been in a show with a mixed generation type cast before. So that's been really cool for them. Some other people in the cast, our Mother Superior is Marissa Gale. And Elsa is Shannon Vinson, Kevin's wife. Some of the other nuns are Abby Vinson, his daughter, and Chris Sonnenberg and Debbie Adamczyk, who everybody knows from shows before too.
That's now. What's the relationship with your sister like? Do you nudge her a little bit, saying why did you do that, or is it?
It goes both ways.
Oh, does it? Oh, no.
Just kidding.
That's when you whisper.
Just kidding.
I'm older.
That's the good stuff, though. When you get to say, hey, how did that look from your perspective? Or, and you can ask any castmate that, but it's just kind of special when there's, somebody in the cast that you are just really close with from the start.
How excited were you when you found out that this was a show that they were doing and you went into audition?
Yeah, all 3 of us are on the board. So we were there when we were trying to decide what show to do. And, people needed a really exciting and nostalgic show to come back to. It's, after you make a return like this after COVID, it needs to be something that people want to see and that they have experience with. So that was really exciting for us to choose one that, almost everyone has a connection to. People were singing along last night. We did the concert in the park, a little teaser at intermission, and people were so excited knowing almost every song in the show.
Wow.
So that's just, you can't beat that.
Yeah, Kevin, how important was that? I'm sure that was a fun but probably stressful conversation to have. Like, what show do you come back with?
Yes.
Right. Well, I'm not on the board. I used to be on the board and resigned, I guess, about 2 years ago. So for me, I came in on the other end of it. I came in after they had already announced it.
Okay.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. Like, especially having the kids, I think, is a great choice to be able to have a family show like that. You bring those kids in, but a lot of times you bring their parents in too to be part of the cast. And like she said, that family atmosphere of it, that we actually do have a lot of those families involved. It was just a fantastic choice that way.
That's wonderful. Jerry, when you blend the kids and the adults, and then, like you said, Abby, the music, that people know the music, it's sort of the perfect show to come back with, isn't it?
Well, Richard Rodgers, how can you beat Richard Rodgers as far as a composer? He is a genius. We've talked different times about some of the different things he's done, but when you consider a composer who will take something simple like a scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and write probably one of the best known songs ever from any show, it's just amazing what he's done.
And you're going to perform that for us here in just a few moments, correct?
Probably not.
You have to go to the show. And, okay,
Correct.
that's right. Stephanie, sort of the same question, I guess. Was it challenging to come up with that show, or once everything settled, it was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
it kind of made sense right off the bat, and I felt that it was important that we try to have a show that had kids in it. Again, to have lots of families involved, and that was an idea that a lot of the other members on the board felt the same way. So
Now, will it kind of go back into the cycle of, I don't know how you want to say it, like a classic show and then maybe something newer? That's sort of the pattern that was developed the last handful of years, right?
yeah,
We'll see.
kind of.
We'll see,
We'll
yeah.
see moving forward.
Okay, stand by. How important is it to announce the next year's show in the program?
It used to be pretty important because that was our main way of getting the word out,
Yeah.
But now we have such a great following on Facebook, and I'll plug that right now. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook.
Excellent.
But we have a lot of, really cool ways that we've been announcing things lately with some, hints and countdowns, and that's kind of more the new way of announcing. So you'll have to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I think that countdown, everybody was like, okay, how many days left? When's it going to be announced? That brings some excitement, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, Kevin, before we came on, we were kind of talking about just the community, and maybe one of the positives to come out of COVID was this love of music and people diving into learning to play an instrument or learning to sing, or you look at some of the businesses that have popped up that have been helping students and adults with music. It's been remarkable, and the productions that have been taking place at the high school and middle school levels, again, amazing. You have to smile when you see all this going on. Are you seeing that with Summer Theater, like these groups also kind of there to support what you're doing?
I think so. Hopefully we'll see that with ticket sales when the time comes as an audience perspective. But I think there was a renewed appreciation for the arts, and especially for live performance. As music teachers, we wondered about that, during that COVID shutdown, and we didn't know what that would do to a lot of our live performance programs. But coming back, we realized that students and parents, the community in general, really missed a lot of those things, like the concert, like Summer Theater, and I think there's a hunger there for it now, realizing like, hey, that wasn't fun when that was taken away from us. We want to get back to that.
That's wonderful. Let's do this real quick. You're watching The Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel, and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. Some of the cast and crew with us from Titusville Summer Theater's production of The Sound of Music, taking place next week already. The date, it seems a little earlier this year. Was that intentional?
It was. Yeah, we thought we would just try it a little bit earlier and see, if we could get some more interest that way. That way it still leaves people plenty of time to take their summer vacations afterwards. And yeah.
That's great though. I was just thinking, does that add more stress, to getting the production at 100%, or is it you're working with professionals and everything's going to be ready? I know how Tech Week usually runs.
How can you have more stress? It's already it's Tech Week. So.
That's right.
We started earlier, so we
did
are, kind of in the same place as far as the amount of weeks that we've had to practice, just less time in the auditorium because of graduation and things like that. So we had to be really ready to move in to the theater.
I always loved watching the show come together that week. It's amazing because the night before you're going, I don't know how this is going to work, and then is that part of the magic of theater though? Just everybody just pulls it together, and it's always spectacular.
It is, and you add so much in those last 2 weeks. So I think that's where some of that magic comes from is that you're adding the set, you're adding the costumes, you're adding the microphones, you're adding the lights. So all of a sudden it goes from rehearsal to being a show, and it does seem like overnight because there's so many of those things that can't really be added until those final moments. But there's definitely that stress level of like, is this going to come together? And I think for the veterans, we have enough. We say, it will. It will be there.
Yeah.
But you
but you
always think like, okay, what else are we missing?
I was going to say, even the veterans are sitting back going, okay, I think it should come together. Abby, let's kind of go around the table. Favorite performance or favorite song or scene that you have in the show?
I like anything that has those adorable kids in it. So I would say Do Re Mi is my favorite one. It's, a really classic number that all the songs in the show, everybody would recognize, but that one's really special. And it's got the kids kind of, everybody knows that a lot of people know the story of the show, and the kids are a little bit more regimented at the beginning and have to follow rules, and then they can kind of come out of their shells a little. So it's really fun to see in that song them start out so timid and then to end it, as the kids that we see for the rest of the show. It's really fun.
That's great. Kevin?
I think mine is probably when I kind of transform for that first time. The kids are singing, and that takes me by surprise, because up until that point, I'm very strict with the kids, and I kind of wonder, like, are these kids even going to like me? I mean, they've had me as a teacher, so maybe they already think of me a certain way. But it's kind of a neat moment the first time that we got to do that, and I'm able to sing with them and be part of that process with them was really neat.
Jerry, how about for you? What was a favorite scene to kind of put together, or song?
I would have to say the Nuns music. The Nuns music is quite difficult to start with, but it's gorgeous. It's just so beautifully written. I would have to say the Nuns.
Nuns. Stephanie?
There's a couple. I enjoy the ones that Maria and Mother Abbess sing together. Just watching that connection, and then I have fun watching the ones that Kevin gets to sing with his wife, and those connections of people, that are already friends or family, and seeing them transform onto stage and playing those characters. They're fun to watch.
Well, you mentioned, or Kevin mentioned that, the kids looking at him as a teacher and having that. Do you encourage that type of thing to take place on the set? Like use that, did you talk to the kids and say, find motivation in all these different aspects of the performance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the kids were cute the other night when they came in, and it was Father's Day, and Ty, one of the boys, went in and said, "Happy Father's Day, Dad!" And
all 7 of my kids were there. So I got to spend it, and my 2 real kids, I should mention.
That's a lot of ice cream and golf and all that stuff. Right. The kids, I was just looking at a picture. It seems like maybe there's some folks who are new to the summer theater stage in terms of probably the youth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their first time up on stage. What was that like to see their reaction to coming out and interacting with others and the sets and the costumes?
Yeah. They were all really excited, and I had 5 out of the 7 in my middle school shows. And so it's different, and it's different for me as well. We're all used to hour-long shows and very little costume changes, and all of a sudden we're a 2-act show, and lots of costume changes. But they've taken it in stride, and they're excited.
Real quick, behind the scenes, who's helping with costumes and the behind the scenes things?
Yeah, Bernadette Peters is in charge of costumes.
Bernadette Barnes.
Bernadette Barnes is in charge of costumes.
If you had Bernadette Peters, though, that would...
We're not putting her on stage, just...
And then we have Lane Fortney that was in charge of set construction.
He never really went away, did he? They just kind of locked him up behind stage, and whenever you need him, you just...
Even if he wants to, I don't think he's allowed to.
Okay, that's good. Now, orchestra, will there be...
We have a very good orchestra coming in. We're going to have a rehearsal Sunday afternoon. I believe right now we have 17 in the orchestra, yes. Well, this score calls for almost a full orchestra.
All right. Tickets are available where?
Tickets are available at the Chamber of Commerce like they always have been, but we've also introduced an online ticketing. So our Facebook, I'll plug again, you can find the link to get the tickets online. And then they'll also be available at the door. They're $15 for adults and $8 for youth, 18 and under. And the online option or going to the chamber would be really your best bet, because the good seats are really selling out fast. If you need to sit on an aisle or something, those are almost all gone. So
welcome back.
Yeah, we're
Break a leg.
excited.
June 29th, 30th, and July 1st at Coolstock Auditorium. I think that's a song that most people would recognize, right? Yeah, just a little bit. Excited to have some of the cast and crew here from Titusville Summer Theater's production of The Sound of Music. Good morning. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Everybody's excited to be here. In fact, Amy, you were outside our studio as we were coming in this morning singing.
Yes, I was warming up this morning.
Well, it sounded great. So good to see everybody. Let's kind of go around the table and introduce yourselves.
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
I am Amy Sposato Rock, and I am the vocal director of The Sound of Music.
Nice.
Are we? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm James McGinnis. I'm playing Uncle Max, and I'm the vice chairman of the Summer Theater Board of Directors.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay, I'm Shannon Vinson, and I play Baroness Elsa Schrader.
I'm Marissa Gale, and I play Mother Abbess.
Well, welcome everybody. Good to see you, and welcome back. 3 years, right, since the last production.
Yes.
What was the last production? Do you remember?
Shrek.
Yes.
2019.
Wow, and that was a great show. They're all great. We were talking last week with the others. You don't have to acknowledge the others who were here last week, but Titusville Summer Theater has this rich history of great performances. That's really not too surprising, is it?
Not at all.
No.
Talk about what it's like, and James, we'll start with you. Talk about what it's like to bring the community together and to put on a show, because it's quite amazing.
Well, it's quite a feat. It definitely takes a community to get a show together. So it's great that within Summer Theater, we're sort of our own community, and everybody, we've all got our hands in each cookie jar.
Yeah, it's sort of a transitional period too for Summer Theater, right? You're young, you're coming into the fold of being on the committee, right? And others who have been there for 20, 30 years, 40
Yes.
years, I heard, might be working their way out and, getting some new blood in there. But is that a strange time, or is it kind of exciting to have a nice blend of talent and experience?
It's a little bit of a strange time. I mean, after the pandemic, it's kind of new territory, but we have a lot of new faces on the board, like myself and Amy, for example, and people are, lending their talents, lending their skills, and it's working. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign, I guess.
That's great. Shannon, your family's been involved. The stage is a great place to be for performances, for, again, that community aspect. What's it like for you to be part of these productions?
Well, I consider myself part of that sandwich generation because I started, I think, back in '92 with, I think it was Oliver. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I remember a lot of the people from the original board and the cast, from a lot of the people who were part of the original founding members, if you will. And so I remember a lot of them, and it's just really cool to be a part of that and to still be a part of it today, to have my family involved now, see them starting. My niece Ella is involved, my nephew Cash, and to see them getting involved now is really cool.
And there's so many aspects to that we can get into, hopefully, between maybe the dance routines to singing to acting. I mean, there's a lot of components to this. There's the behind-the-scenes work. There's, again, there's a lot of things for everybody to kind of do. So maybe you're somebody who says, well, I want to be involved, but I'm not really a performer. Okay, well, maybe you could do lights or sets.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of aspects to it. What was your first production?
My first production is This Sound of Music, since I just moved to Titusville in 2021.
That's
So
exciting.
I'm excited to be here.
Now, it hasn't taken too long for you, and we're going to have to get your background because you do some really great things. But you've been helping out with some of the music, not just for Summer Theater, but for the community as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. We're owners of Roxato Conservatory of Music, and so one of the things that I can contribute to Summer Theater is vocal coaching. And so I jumped in as fast as I could to serve as the vocal coach to partner with Jerry, who is overseeing all of the music as well as the orchestra. And so I have the pleasure of working with all of the singers one-on-one in preparation, as well as our wonderful nuns chorus.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And we're going to come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what role do you have?
What's that?
What role?
The big
Mother
one.
Abbess,
Oh.
the head nun,
The head
in
nun.
charge of that
Yes.
nuns choir. Yeah, this is my first Titusville Summer Theater production.
Is it?
But it's my first time back on a stage in 13 years. And the last time I was on stage was Sound of Music. So it's a super
wow.
great comeback.
Yeah.
Very exciting. The nuns are fantastic and everybody is just super, super talented. Like there's so much talent in this area. It's awesome.
So what made you think, okay, it's time to come back?
Well, seeing that it was Sound of Music was pretty exciting, but knowing the director and several people that were auditioning, I figured it was a good time to transition back.
Did
into
you have
that.
a different role before?
I did.
Okay, so
I
it's not
did.
like, oh, I
So
know
it's
the
not,
lines,
It's not
so-
the same
okay.
at all. No, it's
See, that's something
great.
I would do,
Yeah.
but I'd still forget them. So this is kind of a cool thing for you to experience. Same show, but different production. It's a little different, isn't it?
It is. It is very different. I actually am very excited to get to work with Max and Elsa because when we did the show and when I was in high school, they couldn't sing. So we had
Oh.
a complete talking version of Max and Elsa's roles.
Oh.
So I'm very excited to get to work with them because they are both so very talented and they sound fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
So it's
Thank
a
you.
super awesome difference. Like the directors have been awesome, and having a vocal coach is a totally different environment than a high school show.
Amy, how many times do you hear somebody say, well, I can't sing?
Oh, often, every week,
And that's just me calling over and over.
Everyone can sing. We can get you to sing.
I was going to say.
I don't think so.
She could work with you, Luke. She
We
really
might put
could.
that to the test. Well, Shannon, how many times do people say, I can't dance?
A lot. A lot.
Is there hope for somebody who can't?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. I could get you to dance, Luke.
Could
Yes.
dance and sing? That'd be something.
Absolutely.
We'll
What's
team up together.
Yes.
well when you have to combine the two, that has to be challenging. But I think people deep inside, if they think they can't sing or they can't dance, I think they want to know that there are people behind them that are encouraging them to try it, right? And
Agreed.
not to be afraid to go out and do it. And this is a great opportunity. I mean, not now because the show's this week, but pay attention for next year and get involved. So let's talk about the show. It's this week.
That's right.
It is this.
Yeah,
We
that's
open on
right.
Thursday.
Thursday
days.
night.
Yes, and
Curtain opens.
it's ready. We were just talking about that last night with Kevin. We were saying, we're ready. We're ready to go.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
scary, isn't it? Don't you want a day where you go, I don't know if this is coming together?
No.
We had that. I think we had
We
that a
had
couple
that.
of weeks ago.
We did
Yeah.
have that, yeah. But it's better to feel this way. I don't want to sound overconfident, but we just people are. I think it just is a credit to the cast, the crew, that we just have a lot of people that know what they're doing, and the show is ready to go.
Is there a sense of pride and excitement and knowing that, again, it's been 3 years and here it is, we've done it. We got the people to come out, we're performing this thing, and we're back.
Absolutely.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
We'll kind of go around the table. We'll start with James. Favorite part of this whole process for you?
My favorite part probably was getting to work with people I've looked up to for a long time, like Shannon and Kevin, for example. We do like 2 trio songs, and I don't know, it was kind of a full circle moment. Like, I'm like with them now. Like, wow, I guess I've made it.
Great. Shannon, how about you?
Well, so Kevin plays Captain Von Trapp, which you talked to him last week, and so we play a couple. We are engaged, and I don't want to give away too much of the show, but it may not necessarily work out, and so that's been a lot of
On the show.
fun. On the show. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry, Titusville, just for the show. But so that's been a lot of fun, kind of working through that on stage. It's just been a lot of fun, just playing off of each other, and it's just a lot of fun moments on stage.
That's great.
Well, there was a moment in a very long musical rehearsal with the nuns, and we were into probably the 90th minute of the rehearsal when everything just came together, and the nuns actually started clapping. And so that moment, I knew that we were making a difference in a lot of lives.
Nonsense. I don't believe it.
It really is.
I'm no, sorry. That's a different show.
I think the best part of this whole thing is we were able to have practices in different areas. Like there were practices happening at Roxado, and there were practices happening at the middle school or at the high school, and then it all just like it flowed in together, and it was super awesome to see what everybody else had been working on because you weren't together all the time.
Shannon and James, you could maybe add to that, because we hear that, or we used to hear that when folks would come on and talk about the show, because you'd have rehearsals down at the middle school or another location, and then it's like you've finally got things figured out there, and then you're allowed to move into the auditorium. The sets, well, then you're rehearsing there, but then the sets get built or the costumes get added, and then it's like, okay, this is how I moved down at the middle school, but now I got this big costume. How am I going to get from here to... I mean, there's a lot that kind of keeps changing along the process, but it's also very fun to be part of that process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Well, but I mean, the challenge of
It is a challenge because, so if you look at some of the other communities around us, they do have a dedicated theater. And a lot of times they're practicing for maybe 3 months, maybe. And I don't know if people realize that we put this together in maybe 6 weeks. I think maybe this year we had maybe a little bit longer. But we spend the majority of the time at the middle school or up at Roxado practicing. And then in the last I think it was, 3 weeks, we moved to the high school. So we had to reblock or set on the stage essentially, and then we had to add in our sets and our costumes. So it was a challenge, but we all rose to the challenge, and you're going to see some exciting things here at the end of the week.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
great. Let's do this real quick. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel, and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. The Sound of Music, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Titusville's Colstock Auditorium. Amy, is it different when you're working with vocals, say, at your location, and then moving to the stage, and now you're projecting a little bit more?
Oh, what a wonderful question. Absolutely very different. The sound will change. The singer has a feeling of kind of a vast cave when they move into the theater, and so utilizing the body and having a little more strength under the sound is required. And so those are what the notes that I'm writing all the time to tell the singer to sing out a little bit. But once we put those body mics on, everything changes again.
Yeah.
And so we have continual conversation about sound production and confidence.
Confidence can change the vocal quite a bit, right?
Absolutely. I have confidence.
in the sunshine.
Confidence and sunshine?
A wonderful song from a show.
Oh, okay.
That we know.
All right, excellent. Now, I think Jerry Knickerbocker is known for his warm-ups, right?
Yes.
The vocal warm-ups,
Yes.
What's your process for getting everybody warmed up?
So we normally start with either some sort of a humming exercise or sometimes those raspberries of those sounds you do with your lips, just to get the body moving and get those vocal cords a little bit warm before we start using E vowels and ah vowels to kind of stretch the voice in both directions. The altos have some very low sounds that they're making, and the sopranos are hitting a high C, and so we need to stretch the voice in every direction.
And you could probably spend years working with everybody on their tone and their voice, but you don't have that time. So how do you kind of budget how much time you spend with each person or a group of people?
Well, the singers have been wonderful in volunteering their time to come and work with me. Thank you all for that. But I am just so grateful. But they come to me in essence warmed up, and therefore when we're working one-on-one, we sort of dive into the repertoire, and then we work on vocal technique as part of that half an hour or an hour. Typically, I'm working with them for at least an hour one-on-one.
Yes.
A couple times.
Amy has graciously volunteered her time to work with all of us up at Roxado, which has been extremely generous. All of us here have had lessons.
Multiple
Yes.
vocal lessons.
Yes.
Wow.
It's
Yes.
been my pleasure.
But then you add to that the movements, because you're not just standing on stage in one
Right.
spot. Now you're dancing or you're moving.
Yes.
So you're adding that into the mix, which has to be fun and interesting as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about for the nuns? What's everybody's having a good time? Are you keeping everybody in line?
So
She
I
does a
can't
great
say
job.
that I
Does she?
always
She really
have
does.
them under control.
Do you have a ruler that you smack their?
There are rulers.
I did have a fan the other
You
day.
did?
No smacking involved. They're actually a great group of human beings. They just are super fun to work with, and I am super proud of all of them and what they've accomplished, because really they have done phenomenal things in minimal amount of time.
Yes.
That's great. How many folks have come out to take part? Cast and crew.
Oh gosh, I don't know the
I
total
think it's
number.
well over 50, don't
I
you
would,
think?
I would
That's
think so as
fantastic.
well.
Yes.
That's
Including
great.
crew, probably 60 something.
Right.
Yeah.
We even have a weekend
When you add
crew
in
that's been working on
sound
the
and
set.
lights and set
Oh.
construction, absolutely. Close to 60 probably.
That's
Costuming has
Yeah.
had
Oh,
extras,
yeah, definitely.
Makeup.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
People, yeah.
that's incredible. That's great to see the support back, and I'm just so happy that Summer Theater is back.
We
So
are.
are we.
too.
Great
So are we.
tradition, yeah.
Yes.
You know, when you're sitting there before the curtain opens and you're going through the book and you're seeing all the productions over the years and the people, sometimes you look at it and go, I know that person. They were on stage.
How about that?
Yeah,
It brings all sorts of people out, doesn't it?
it does.
Now, tickets. Where can folks get tickets?
That's a me
James
question.
is our
That's a
ticketing
James.
master.
Question.
Oh,
So we are now utilizing online ticketing, finally. And that's through showtixforyou.com/events/Titusville. You'll be able to buy tickets for any night you want, any seat you want, because it's reserved. Or you can pay a visit to the Titusville Chamber of Commerce, and they'll take care of you there. But they'll still be doing it online, because that's just the way we do things now.
and you need to get your tickets quickly here, right? Because you want to get good seats, but they're
Absolutely.
selling fast, aren't
They are.
Yes.
Definitely.
I'm not going to mention names, but I heard somebody over the weekend. They were asked if they could get tickets from this person, and she was like, "No, we don't do that anymore. It's all these young kids. They want everything online today." So, but she was joking and having fun with it. But yes, so if you struggle with that, you can still go into the chamber
Yes,
to get your tickets, and they can help you out there.
Yes.
And there's assigned seating, so that's why you want to get in there. Every seat's a good seat, but if
This
you're
is true.
if you're bringing people with you, you want to make sure you have enough to sit together. So get in there and get your tickets. Doors will open at what time Thursday? Do you know?
I don't know.
6:30.
Yeah.
6:30. yeah.
Okay. And the show
7
Seven.
o'clock.
7 o'clock. All right. Both Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? All
Yes.
3 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you can get your tickets again online at the chamber. Get there early. If somebody forgets to do all that, can they get tickets at the door?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we don't want that.
We don't want that.
They might not want that.
They might not want that.
Right.
Now, you might be out in the hall, but you'll still be able to hear everybody, right, Amy?
Yes,
sure.
absolutely. I sit in the very last row every single night when I take notes, and I hear everything crystal clear.
Now, when you get closer to the production, do the notes get shorter, or do they get?
Well, funny you mentioned that. So last night when Stephanie was saying, she gave her notes first, and then I came in giving some notes, and I said, my goodness, everybody, my notes are only just a couple inches long versus a couple pages long. And so we have progressed quite a bit in just a few days. Last night's performance was very well sung, very well acted, and very well danced.
All right, I want each of you to kind of. We asked you what your favorite part of the production was, but what about scene in the show? Everybody have a favorite scene in the show?
Can I not go first this time?
I'll go first
Okay.
this time. I cry every night at Edelweiss. Kevin Vincent does a beautiful job.
Gorgeous. It's excellent.
He makes a lot of kids cry, doesn't he? No, it's great in the summer watching kids run up to him, Mr. Vincent, Mr. Vincent. All right. Okay, so that's your favorite scene. All right.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to say it's probably the wedding scene for me. The nuns are all involved, and the family's there, and it's fantastic.
The music in that scene.
The music in that scene is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shannon?
I think It's. Can I have two, please?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So the first one is probably when the captain first comes on the scene with all the kids, and he's blowing the whistle, and all the kids come marching on. And again, it's it's Captain Von Trapp with all the kids, and just seeing my husband, because he can kind of act like that just a little bit. People say, "Oh, Kevin, that's not you," and I'm like, "It kind of is a little bit." Without the whistle, we are not taking home that whistle. And the other one, I love How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria, because my daughter's in that scene, and I just love hearing her sing. She's all grown up. She's 20 now, and I love it. So.
Do you kind of catch yourself just watching the performance and going, "Oh yeah, I need to act"?
Well, I'm not in either one of those scenes, so I
okay.
can just watch.
All
yes.
right. Okay, that's good. James?
Well, I have 2 scenes that I get to do with our kids, the Von Trapp kids, who are fantastic.
Yes, they
They're
are.
so funny. They bring all this rambunctious energy to the scene. You don't know quite what's going to happen every time, and that's exciting. I really enjoy it. They're all so much fun and so talented.
All right. We have Kevin on line 1 here, so I think you might want to take that. All right. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 o'clock, Coldstock Auditorium.
Yes.
Break a leg. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you,
in.
Lou.
Thank
All right,
you.
take care.